very important topic is the sources of finance. From where will you be getting the money to start your business? So definitely here, when we are discussing about the sources of finance, so definitely within our purview, we are not discussing about the sources of finance for sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship means one person's business. Like one person is the manager, one person is the financer, one person is the controller of that business. Everything is done by the one person only. So normally 95% of the businesses which you are seeing around you are a sole proprietorship, okay, sole trading concerns. And we are also not discussing about the partnership firms where more than one person is involved in entire managing the entire affairs of the business. So we are also not discussing about that. So when we are discussing the sources of finance or any kind of business model, definitely we are discussing about corporate form of business organization. Corporate form means where the word limited, limited, limited is there along with the name of that business, so it becomes a company. Okay, like Reliance Industries Limited, Infosys Limited, or PVR Limited, Tata Steel Limited, or around you, if there are some company where the word limited is there, it means this is a company form of organization, and it is registered under the Companies Act 2013, or if it is before that, Companies Act 1956. Okay, so what are the different sources of finance? So the first source of finance is the equity share. So equity shares are actually equity share is a share in the overall share capital of the company. So entire capital of the company is divided into some small denominations of 10 rupees or 1 rupee or 100 rupees or 20 rupees or 2 rupees. इतना छोटा छोटा होता है, 1 रुपया से लेके 10-20-100 रुपया तक हो सकता है. And that unit is allotted to thousands, lakhs and crores of number of people. Okay, one share, suppose if it is of 10 rupees and it can be issued to say 1 crore people. So 1 crore people and everybody is contributing 10 rupees. So ultimately the total capital of the company is 10 crore. So the total equity capital will be 10 crore. So that is how this equity share is raised from the market. And this is how the companies are raising money from the IPO, that they are offloading their shares into the market. People are subscribing into that, and ultimately they are getting a capital to run their business. So that is called equity capital. And now, what is the return given to the equity shareholders? It is the dividend. For suppose if someone is investing in equity shares, so they will not be getting interest for investing in equity shares. Suppose I have given my money, I have invested in say Tata Steel or Reliance Industries or Tata Motors or Infosys Limited or Wipro Limited. So what I will be getting? I have given my money. So if I would have deposited my money in bank, definitely I would have got interest. But for investing in equity share, people are not getting, or equity shareholders are not getting any interest. Then what is the return called? It is called dividend. So the dividend is the return given to the equity shareholders. And what is the rate of dividend? Rate of dividend is not fixed. Rate of dividend is actually dependent upon the profit of the company. So the entire profit of the company, it is distributed, or not entire profit, some part of the profit of the company is distributed among the shareholders in some agreed percentage, and that is called dividend. Because ultimately the capital is provided to the company by whom? By the equity shareholders. Suppose if I start a business, definitely I will be contributing capital to that business. If me and my friend is starting business, so me and my friend will be contributing capital in that business. That will be called partnership firm. And suppose there are 1,000 people are contributing capital to that company, so all these 1,000 people will be the owner of that. So here equity shares are also, who are the owners? All the equity shareholders who have contributed even 10 rupees or 100 rupees or 1 rupee in equal denomination, everybody will be the owner of that, and the ultimate profit or loss of that firm will be borne by the equity shareholders. So if there is a profit, they will be given a part of their profit in the form of dividend. If there is a loss, they will not be getting anything. If there is a huge profit, dividend will be more. If there is less profit, dividend will be less, and accordingly. That is the return to the equity shareholders. Preference shares They are also shareholders, but only thing is that they have certain preference, like the dividend rate for preference shareholders are fixed. Suppose it is 10% or 15%, so preference shareholders will be given fixed rate of dividend irrespective of the profit. And they have the preference that their dividend will be paid first, and after paying dividend to the preference shareholders, if something is left, that will be given to the equity shareholders. So that's why it's called preference shares. So preference shares, and preference shares has to be redeemed. Redeem means it has to be repaid after some time, maybe 20 years or 30 years of their issue. But the equity shares, they are never redeemed. Like once a company have issued equity shares, it is for lifetime. In its lifetime, company will not be going to repay for those shares. So that's why if I bought equity share from a company, so I cannot submit the equity share to the company and get my money back. What I can do, I can sell it into the market to some other interested investors who are also willing to buy the shares of that company. So I can sell it, but definitely company is not going to take it back. But preference shares, after certain time period, normally 20 to 30 years, preference shareholders, preference shares has to be repaid by the company. That means वो अपना shares जमा कर देंगे, उनका पैसा मिल जाएगा. Next mode is the debenture and bond. In equity share, the rate of return is called dividend, and equity shareholders are in fact the owners of that company. But the debentures and the bonds, they are just like creditors of that company. They have given loan to that company, and that's why debenture holders are a kind of creditor to the company. So debenture holders, just like equity shares are of small denomination. So debentures and bonds are also of small denomination, maybe 100 rupees, 1000 rupees, or 10,000 rupees, or 5,000 rupees. Small debentures or bonds are issued among the general public, and people normally they buy the bonds and money is given to the company for doing business. And what these debenture holders or bond holders, debenture holder means the person who have purchased the debenture of that company. Bond holder means the person who have purchased the bonds of that company. So they actually they are treated just like the creditors to that of that company. That they have given money to that company as a loan. Equity shareholders, they have not given money to the company as loan. They have given their capital to the company, but debenture holders have given loan to the company, and that's why if it is loan, they are entitled to a fixed rate of interest, and the interest has to be paid irrespective of profit or loss made by the company. Debentures, dividend in case of shareholders has to be paid only when there is a profit, but debenture holders and bond holders, they are entitled to interest irrespective of the profit or loss made by the company. Okay, just like suppose you have taken loan from a bank, and suppose the loan from the bank, and the bank, your business is not doing good. In that case, the bank will not relax you from payment of interest simply because your business is not doing good, and you'll have to pay interest irrespective of the profit or loss made by your business. Similarly, debentures and bonds are a kind of loan given to the company, and company will have to pay interest irrespective of the profit or loss made by your business. Then term loans. Term loans, just now in the previous slides I have explained, in the previous discussion about that the development banks or the commercial banks or the insurance companies or NBFCs, they provide loan. So debenture holders and the bonds, they are the loan given by the general public to the company. Term loans are the loan given to the business by the financial institutions. That is the difference between the term loan and debentures and bonds. And yes, term loans are also loan, and they are also we have to pay interest to the bank or financial institutions as the case may be. So that's the term loan. Public deposits, just like debentures and bonds, these public deposits are also deposits given by the general public to the company for a consideration of interest. So public deposits, the difference between the debenture and public deposit is debentures are for a relatively longer time period, 20 years, 15 years, 30 years. Public deposits are normally for a small time duration, maybe 5 years, 6 years, even less than that. That is public deposit. So these are some of the sources of long-term finance for a company. And what are the sources of short-term finance? Now in finance or in accounting, the term short term and long term have got a very specific meaning. Anything of more than 1 year is long term, anything of less than 1 year is short term. So the headings that we have discussed just now all are actually the sources of long term finance. What is long term? Like equity shares, it has to be never repaid in the life of the company, it's perpetual in nature. Preference shares normally 20 to 30 years, debentures and bonds more than 10 years, public deposits more than 5 years, term loans more than 5 years to 10-20 years. But if you require money for less than 1 year, how will you raise money? So there are some specific instrument for raising short term finance also. And what is that? Certificate of deposit. The company will be issuing certificate of deposit, or any person, a general public may buy that certificate and they may give their money to the company, and company will be utilizing your money for a small time duration, but definitely that will be of less than 1 year. Commercial paper issued by the company against, and company is issuing the commercial papers and they will be getting money from the general public, that is also for less than 1 year. Now, what is the difference between certificate of deposit and commercial paper? Commercial paper cannot be issued by any company. A company can issue commercial paper if it is a very big company. Net worth has to be in certain crores, 5 crores and more than that. But certificate, if a small company wants to raise short-term loan, then it can go for a certificate of deposit. And secondly, this certificate of deposits can be renewed automatically after 364 days, because 365 days is 1 year. So within 364 days it can be renewed for another 1 year, but commercial paper cannot be renewed. Then overdraft is a facility given to the current account holders. There are 3 types of account to be opened by a bank: savings account, that normally we people have our savings account, current account, where we can keep our money but we will not be given any interest from the bank. So the current account holders, they are allowed to withdraw money more than that they have deposited. Suppose there are only 10,000 rupees in my current account and I have issued a check of say 1 lakh and I have overdraft facility. So bank will not return that check simply saying that there is only 10,000 rupees in my current account, because I have an overdraft facility up to say of 5 lakh. So even if there is no money in my account, so my check will be honored up to 5 lakh. Cash credit, this is also just like overdraft only, but in case of overdraft, it is the facility given to the current account holders. Cash credit is a fresh account opened by the bank. Then discounting of bills, this is also anyone can issue a bill and get it discounted from the bank. So, and that bill has to be paid within 3 months or 4 months, that is called discounting of bills. Treasury bills normally issued by the government and it is of less than 364 days. So these are some of the sources of short-term finance. So this is in nutshell, we have discussed about the sources of finance. So any question up to this?